morning, everybody, and welcome to What's Hot on the Open. This is where we're going to take a look here at MarketStream.live on all the action that's going on in the markets. My name is Joseph Cusick from the Cusick Group, securities offered by MoneyBlock. Now, taking a look at the markets right now, it looks like we're firmly in the red. You have the Dow Jones futures down 78 points at 19,798. You have the NASDAQ futures down 24.25 at 5,022 and 25 cents. And you have the S&P 500 down 8.5. The E-mini futures are trading at 2261.25. So you firmly have the downside in place today. And maybe that bias is starting to pick up because we could see some misgivings about the actual policies living up to the pre-inauguration hype. Now, we're not going to know, and the market's not going to know until we actually see these legislative processes start and we actually see what the Trump policies are. But with that being said, we still have some market-related news other than Trump and the policies that are coming out that we need to pay attention to here on the open. First, Delta. Delta Airlines, ticker symbol DAL. They came out with earnings today. They had great revenues. It was basically in line, if not better than expectation. And they also raised Q1 unit rev guidance by about 0.2%. That's from expectations of flat. But they did warn that Q1 margins were going to be under pressure because of the fact that they're starting to see an uptick in fuel prices. They're going to expect that employee benefits and things of that nature are going to be costing a little bit more. There could be some pressure on the margins in Q1. And that has the stock down slightly right now, down about 30 cents at right around 51.10. We're going to see what the action is after their call. It starts at 10:30 Eastern time. But we're going to watch support. This stock has been in a range basically between $50 and $52. 52 being that ceiling that it has just not been able to break. We'll see if the bulls start nibbling when it starts to get to below and testing $50, if it does test there. There was also some housing information that came out. KBH Homes, KBH, posted a strong order growth, but the gross margins are continuing to disappoint. And basically, they're chalking that up to higher labor costs and higher land costs. That's put some continued pressure on the housing sector and housing stocks. Take a look at XHB or ITB. And that's despite the current and continued strength in this sector. Now, the KBH is trading right around 1952, down about 8 cents. So it's a little bit muted after this report, but we'll keep an eye on that. On a related note of both headlines and legislative components, overnight you saw that there was a budget resolution that was actually going through the Senate. This was not discussed very much on the public airwaves, but the GOP began a process of dismantling Obamacare with this budget resolution. And at a 51-48 vote, it was split basically down the party lines, except there was one notable dissenter. Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, he dissented. Bottom line is he's not going to vote yes for the breakdown and repeal of Obamacare until there is some sort of replacement plan that is backed by the GOP. The House will take this resolution up, and it is expected to pass, but there's going to be some volatility around this because repeal is not going to be as easy as I think that everybody thinks it's going to be. The reason why is that bottom line is that you're going to need to get something in place as a backup plan so that the GOP, you're going to have to get some more Democratic support revolved around this if you're going to get this passed. So they're going to need something. XLV trading down about 30 cents, and also IBB on this note down about $1 today. And that's after biotech was just completely destroyed yesterday based on Mr. Trump's comments yesterday in his press conference about drug pricing. looking at other matters, I want to discuss the volatility in the currency markets. We talk about the dollar, and the dollar was cruising yesterday. As a matter of fact, it was trading at right around 102.95, and then it's almost like the wheels came off the bus. It closed down at 101.73, and we actually see it trading down this morning 61 cents at 101.14. This downward trek persisted and continues to persist, and then that's actually aiding an upside push for the yen and the euro. They're both in rally mode. We discussed both those currencies in the overnight action report in Asia as well as on the open in Europe. These moves have put a lot of pressure on the U.S. dollar, and you know what? The action right now is a function basically of the yen and the euro rebounding from short-term oversold conditions, right? So when you see this kind of volatility in the currency markets and these short-term periods, you have what now turns into maybe some short-term volatility coming into the broader markets. We haven't yet seen it. We're seeing a little bit of it this morning here in the U.S. We haven't seen it in Europe. We saw a little bit overnight in Japan and China, but mostly in Japan. We're going to see if that increases in the short term, especially as we get in front of the inauguration of Trump. The latest initial claims came in, and bottom line is that yes, there was a slight uptick of claims for the week of January 7th, and increased by about 10,000, but that's not going to diminish basically what the Fed governors are going to do as far as rates are concerned. It's the 97th straight week that we've had jobless claims below 300,000, and the bottom line is that really I'm not seeing an impact on the Fed's decision, and 4 Fed governors have come out and basically said that it hasn't impacted their thought process right now of potentially 3 rate hikes going into 2017. All right, folks. Might have a little volatility today and for the short term, so we're going to keep our powder dry. We're going to keep our eyes on MarketStream.live. We'll be back at 1:30 Eastern Time. I'm going to be talking about strategy now. And today, I'm going to break down some strategies. We're going to be talking about equity core positions. We're going to be talking a little bit about some overlay strategies that you can start looking at, especially if we start seeing implied volatility rearing its head. All right, folks, we'll see you at 1:30 Eastern Time here at MarketStream.live.